Good morning, folks. This will be a long video, and for me, that could mean a really long video. Um, I got back on YouTube because I started to see in our world that we aren't really talking to each other anymore, right? We don't have discussions. We yell at each other. We scream at each other. Uh, and it's always from a viewpoint of I'm right and you're wrong, and I know the truth and you don't. Um, and so when I got back on YouTube, I subscribed. I actively looked for, and subscribed to people that I would consider on the radical left and people that were on the radical right. And let me help define that a little bit. When I say radical, I mean leaning very much to the left or leaning very much to the right. And leaning very much to the right these days is pretty much full in MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, under President Trump, and all in on anything that President Trump does, because only President Trump is telling the truth. Everything else is a lie. And on the left, everything President Trump says is a lie, and you need to go elsewhere to find the truth. Oh my. So, and I've also discovered that depending upon which side of that political line that you fall on, which is a weird line these days, it is people have boxed themselves into an echo chamber. They listen to only what pretty much resonates with them, what they think is the truth. A couple of well, I don't know how long ago it was. Remember when President Trump gave his speech about election fraud? And there were many people who felt, I'm not even going to watch this because pretty much everything President Trump says is a lie. And there's really no value in watching what he says. And if you think that President Trump is the source of truth, it would be hard to convince you that he has stretched the truth in the past or outright lied, which I'm just gonna say it. I believe he has in the past. So when you look at something like that, so I there was a channel. I think the guy had like 1,500 subscribers, so not, or was it 15,000? I don't remember, but it was he had a lot of followers, and they were all of the same kind of right-leaning bent, pro-Trump. And so he did a live stream the night of President Trump's speech. And they were all excited in this live stream because they were finally going to get the truth about election fraud and what's going on with elections in this country. and 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 they honestly felt, truly in their heart, that they were going to hear truths. from President Trump. I listened to President Trump's speech on election fraud. From what I knew and from what I understood of all of the, I don't know, 60 plus court cases on elections that were held and all of the things that happened after the election, there was no election fraud to the level that would have impacted the outcome of the election. There is always, I mean, we're talking about a huge system of gathering votes for everybody in the country. So there's obviously going to be mistakes. There's obviously going to be things that are going to be off. I can't imagine doing that. But every single one of those people realize that most of these people that run your local elections in your counties and your states are, especially in the counties, or the little old ladies and from the church or somebody who volunteers to come in and help with making sure elections are fair. And they try their hardest and their darndest to make sure that happens. So I'm not going to go into a big long discussion about that. But after the speech was over, they were elated because they said, "Oh, now we finally have the truth." And guess what? There was a couple of TV stations like ABC and I forget the other one, NBC, I don't remember. There was two TV stations that didn't broadcast President Trump's election truths. It just proves they're part of the conspiracy. They are actively part of the conspiracy. And they talked about all the truths that came out of that election speech. And I didn't hear anything new. I didn't hear anything that would convince me that, anyway. But these folks were absolutely excited because now they had the truth. Now, the truth was there. So I'm going to play for you a video from a gentleman that I found on YouTube, Mr. Chris Britton or Brighton. I'm not sure which. Chris, I apologize if I got your name wrong. And Chris, understand, I'm not picking on you or demeaning you or in any way being negative towards you. I'm using you as an example of the voice of many people in this country who apparently feel exactly the way you do. And I want to just respond, not in a critical or harsh way, but just respond from my heart to some of the things that you're saying. And then, I don't know, get others' opinions about where are we at in this country? Is it too late now? Is it too late? Or are we just bound to end up in a situation where people are going to get hurt?
I've had several of you ask me, Chris, why are you stepping away from arresting everybody for treason? I ain't stepped away from nothing, okay? If you're going to attack a demonic group, you got to get all of them. You got to round them all up and get them all in one area. Governor Healy up here, I was going to say the most demonic of all of them by saying you can abort a child the day it's born. And boys, that's my line in the sand. I can't put up with it. So that's why I'm going to be here Monday morning, 10 a.m. over at Healy's place here in Boston, the governor's office. And I'm going to stand out there and tell everybody I can how wrong it is. I'm going to carry my Bible. I'm going to pray for these children. And I'm going to ask that any police officer that approaches me that they go arrest her for conspiracy to commit murder. Because, folks, that is conspiracy to commit murder. And if any one of them do it, they and Healy, in my eyes, are guilty of murder and should be locked away and sentenced for murder. Okay? That's just what's got to happen. Now, D.C., we've got to get President Trump's attention to let him know we're taking this country back and what we intend to do. And that we want every single one of these people that committed treason against us arrested and jailed. Treason's a, how do I say this? Treason is punishable by death. Now let me explain what I think treason is that all of them done. Anytime you take and you commit a crime intending to hurt, destroy, and take over a country, that's treason. Every single one of them that's involved in this COVID, the election steal that's going on everywhere every day is all treason, because they are intending to overthrow us and get Muslims in control and take us out. Y'all look at it. If the Democrats get control, the Muslims will gain control. And they will make us bow down to Islam, convert to Islam. Or we are an infidel and we will be beheaded. That's what they do. Y'all look in their Quran. Okay? That's what takes place. That's treason. Every bit of this that they're committing is treason. We need every single one of them arrested, locked in jail, with no bond, and held until their court date in a military court. Because there are too many judges that are on the take, that are bought and paid for, that we cannot allow to, we can't run the risk of them letting them go. Okay? And plan B is if we don't get our government involved in this, where they start arresting all these fools, we're going to convene, and we're going to convene our own court, we the people. We're going to arrest them, hold them, and try them. That is our job. That is our duty. Y'all read the Constitution.
Okay, so these people are guilty of treason. Treason, I understand you can use treason when it's not a time of war. Treason is like giving direct aid and comfort to the enemy and levying actual war against one's own country. So I don't know that I would call it treason. Insurrection, taking part in or carrying out physical acts of violence and open rebellion. Um, Insurrection, taking part in or carrying out physical acts of violence or open rebellion. I think I would label January 6th as an insurrection. Sedition, focusing mostly on push plan or incitement to rebel. Maybe sedition. Um, I'm sure, but so listen to the language here. The language is we need to arrest these people and hold them and take them to a military court because civilian courts can't be trusted. Oh my heavens. Where we don't have any faith in the voting system. We don't have any faith in the judicial system. I mean, these are the bedrocks of a civil society. And if you don't have any faith in those institutions, I don't know where that leaves us. Let's continue on.
These liberal leftists want to get rid of the new DSA, the Democrat Socialist America want to get rid of our Constitution. And they want to rewrite the Constitution that suits them in the way that they want it to suit them. Not as long as I got a breath in my body. It ain't happening. When you get a group of people that want to kill children the day they're born, and I had somebody tell me yesterday, oh, they're calling birds in there, probably 1,000 of them. I had somebody tell me yesterday, well, Chris, you know, New York's been doing this, you know. Well, hold on. And I put it on my video the other day. No, New York was worse. New York State was worse because what they said is you can abort the child after he comes into this world. The child is in the womb here, the child is in the world here. New York had it where they could abort the child here. President Trump stepped in and shut that down, as he needs to step in and shut this down, as all of us in this country need to shut this down. Because I don't care what you stand for. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, in the middle, it don't matter. If you stand for killing a child like that, or in any kind of way, killing a child, there's no hope for you. Okay? Now I've heard it said, you know, several people try to get this debate going, oh, well, if the young woman is raped and beat and she just doesn't want the child and all these kind of things, I hear what you're saying, okay? I hear what you're saying. Church needs to neck. Just bought it. Put it on. I hear what you're saying. However, in my opinion, there's no reason for an abortion. Now, if something unfortunate like that happened to a woman, I'm sorry, and I hope they get the son of a bitch that did it and they hang him by his neck until he quits breathing. That's what I hope happens to somebody that does something like that to a woman. Okay? But at that point, there's still a child there. If that woman does not want that child, there's plenty of adoption agencies, there's plenty of state agencies all over this country that will take that child and place that child into a home where people want it and love it.
All right. I guess when it comes to unwanted children, I don't think we're taking care of kids the way we should be taking care of kids. So this concept of, you know, unwanted kids could come into the world and then be placed in a home where they'd be cared for. I don't see it, Chris. I don't see it happening in our society. You know, we have, I think in Raleigh, North Carolina, the statistics are 1 in 4 kids go to bed hungry at night. We're not taking care of kids today properly. The kids that exist today, we're not taking care of them. And so this idea that I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see the effort and the money and the push into programs by anti-abortion people that would provide this kind of placing for unwanted children. Okay? And that's not even considering the fact that this is the woman's choice or the family's choice or whatever in terms of whether this child is born or not. And from a Christian perspective, you're right. It's it is wrong. However, as I said before, there's a lot of sins that happen in this world, Chris, and we can't correct them all with legislation or laws. We can't. People are going to commit sins based on whatever influences are on them. So to think that we can legislate that kind of thing is, I think it's not possible. Those people will be judged when the time comes to be judged. And the best that we could do as Christians is to provide those places for kids that are unwanted. But I just don't see it, Chris.
Okay. As an unfortunate event, if something like that happens to a woman, she's beaten, raped, then I get these people saying, well, what if the child is going to die before it's born and it's going to kill the mother or something? Look, that's total different medical situation there. That's a total different deal. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. I believe the only reason Governor Healey's passing this right here is because she wants to stand up and show she's a liberal white woman and she can do whatever she wants. That's what she's doing. Okay.
So it's good to hear Chris say that he understands medical reasons for possibly having an abortion occur. It's unfortunate to hear him say that he believes that the reason why this governor is standing up and doing this is because she's a white liberal who thinks she can do whatever she wants to do. It's an unfortunate viewpoint, I guess, is all I'm saying. Continue on.
I don't think there's a good bone in her body, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Anybody that'll sign an executive order to make it law to do that and to kill a child, in my opinion, is the worst thing in this world. In my opinion, you're right there on the bench setting aside Satan, in my opinion. Now, how do I put this? All of this treason that's committed against us, we're going to step away from Governor Healey and Baltimore for a minute. All this treason that's committed against us, okay? Treason is punishable by death. And I'm going to reiterate what I was saying a while ago. Treason. When you try to overthrow your government, you are in our government. When you try to use your power to overthrow the government, to let the country be taken over by, i.e., all these Muslims, by opening the borders, letting all these people in, by fraudulently electing Obama, which is a Muslim. He is the first person they stole. Y'all look it up. He was not supposed to be on the primaries at all, and there were a couple of people got sent to prison for putting him on the primaries like they did before he was elected. Y'all look it up. He's the first person they stole the election that I can see. Okay?
So, wow. Just wow. So, Obama is a Muslim. Uh, I don't know how to respond to that. It is very clearly not the case. And I don't know how people can continue to carry that concept in their mind unless it's reinforced by other inputs from other areas, and it just keeps echoing in their mind. And he was put on the ballot inappropriately. Oh, again, I I don't know how to respond to those kinds of things because that kind of misinformation, that kind of information that is not. There's so many, I mean, let's face it, folks, there's so many conspiracy theories out there. We could probably go back and talk about 9/11, right? And we could rehash all of the various conspiracy theories about 9/11. But I don't want to do that because that's old history, and it doesn't get us anywhere. Because I don't know that there's any way to get to the truth. Just like the Kennedy assassination or any of these other things, is there any way to get to the real truth. So this was a surprise to me when I heard this on this video, that people think that Obama was a Muslim and that he was the first of election fraud and improperly elected as president. And apparently it's not the only feeling that way.
That I can see, okay? But when they commit treason and do things like that, they commit crimes to do things like that with the sole intention of destroying their country. That's treason. They manufactured COVID to kill us all. That's what COVID was manufactured for. They got over 1 million of us, our countrymen. And so many more are hurt and sick. Daphne, I remember you too. She's my friend that got this COVID and it has messed her up for life.
So therein is another grand conspiracy theory. And again, I don't even know how to respond to that. Who created COVID? To kill who? As far as I know, COVID was not designed as a Democratic or Republican virus. I don't know that there was any statistical difference in whether you were I don't know how you would biologically differentiate a Republican or a Democrat so you could wipe them out, or a liberal. Maybe an ethnic background, you know, but I didn't see any particular ethnic cleansing to it. So I just don't understand where these thoughts come from and why people feel that this is a truth. And see, it's not just one little oddity in information that drives people. It is a culmination of fact upon fact upon fact that they believe is absolutely 100% true. And so it rises to the level of drastic action. And I don't know how you combat that type of misinformation. I don't know how you combat. I don't know. What do we do about that?
Y'all, all that they have done is treason, every bit of it, in my eyes, and should be dealt with accordingly. And if I can get anybody to listen to me, we're going to take this country back. We're going to arrest and hold them all accountable that did all this to us. Now, October 17th, what we're going to try to do, October 17th at noon. Now, when Donald Trump made his speech that night, and he told us all the steal that went on in the election and gave us all of the proof of it, we laid out 90 days to start arresting these fools. And if not, we're gonna act. October 17th at noon is 90 days. Okay? We're gonna shut down. We're not gonna go to work. We're not gonna buy anything. We're not gonna spend any money. We're not gonna do anything. I had somebody trying to walk up on me. I'm just trying to keep me sick. He's watching me hard there. I'm sure he knows who I am and he don't like me. So we're getting a fist fight out here. Y'all understand why. But anyway, we're going to shut this country down. Not because we're trying to hurt the country, but because we're trying to take our government back. Our government works for we the people. And we the people won't control the government again because we're tired of seeing what they're doing. So if we shut down October 17th at noon, and we don't spend any money, we shut the billions and billions of dollars a day that come into them. Somebody said it's $1.5 million a day. So other people say it's up to $50 billion a day. I don't know. I don't even think they know how much they gather every day. But if we shut it down, they're going to real quick try to say, okay, how and why, and we got to get this going again. What can we do to get it going again? Well, we the people are going to tell them, you go arrest all these treasonous bastards right now. Lock them up, and we'll start back to work. That's what we're going to try to do.
Okay, so we got a plan. Um, I I guess it's a reasonable plan. I mean, I would assume if you had a large swath of the country, if you could actually make that happen, I, it'd be tough. It'd be really tough because you're asking people not to go to work, not to spend money, not to do anything. And uh, there's a potential that they could lose their jobs, lose their homes. A lot of people are a paycheck or two away from disaster. So I don't know. I mean, I suppose if you got um, enough people to do this, perhaps it's a viable option, a strategy. It's certainly a nonviolent action, you know, plan. So, okay. And you know what? Um, Considering past events, if there was anything that came out of a plan like that caused hardship for the people that participated in that plan, let's say they lost their job or something, I would not doubt that President Trump would step in and somehow try and protect those people or compensate them or whatever. So that's an interesting plan. Um, it's pretty drastic. Uh, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know, Chris, if that's the right way to do it or not, but that seems pretty drastic. I think in our country, the way it generally works is if we don't like the direction of our government, we elect people that take us in a direction we want to go. I don't see this type of action resulting in anything but temporary harm and disruption to a lot of people's lives. So Chris, think about this. We have sent people to Washington and we have said to them, I don't care what you do, but when you get to Washington, don't let them win. Don't let them get anything they want. And the other side has sent people to Washington with the instructions, don't let them win. Don't let them get anything they want. And that has resulted in a total and completely ineffectual Congress. Congress has ground to a halt because nobody's talking to anybody and nobody's willing to compromise. Nobody's willing to say, look, here's my top 5 items on this side. Here's my top 5 items on the other side. And guess what? We agree on 3 out of the 5. But those other two, we don't agree. So we're not going to let you do anything. And we're not going to do anything until you totally agree with everything. So nothing gets done. Instead of working on the 3 things we actually kind of agree on and coming to a compromise, we don't get anything done. And that's our fault, Chris, because we've sent people to Washington and told them, hold the line. don't don't let them win. And we've got to change that if we want to change anything.
That's plan A. Plan B involves rope and us taking our country back. Y'all think about this. Monday, 24 Beacon Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 10 a.m. Gonna be there all day. We stand up for our little brothers and sisters that aren't even born yet. Because we cannot be a nation that takes their lives like that. We cannot. We just can't. God doesn't want it. Jesus doesn't want it. And I don't think anybody else in America wants it. So if you can be there, and let's stand tall and proud. Bring your flags, and let's stand up for it. Now, this coming Friday and Saturday, I forgot the dates now, but this coming Friday and Saturday, it's coming up from this day here. How you doing, sir? It's coming up on this day here. I'm standing out on the beach, y'all, so there's people walking by me. But this Friday and Saturday, we're going to be on the south lawn of the White House, 10 a.m. until we just drop. Okay? Try to get Donald Trump's attention to let him know we the people are forming and we want our country back. Eventually, we are going to take it. Okay? Now, for all those that say, look, let's stop waiting. Let's just do it now. Let's just do it now. Listen, I was in D.C., not D.C., let me clear my head. I was in Dearborn, Michigan, and I watched the Muslim army they had come in there. Okay? Y'all are not prepared, one or two guys, for that many of them. We've got to get a large amount of us together. That's why we're going to start up on this nationwide militia to get us all together, get us all connected to where if we have to fight them, we can. All right?
Oh, Lord. So we're going to get a nationwide militia, which has always been a concern of mine. We have a lot of militia groups in this country, a lot of groups that are marginal at best, really radical at worst. And they all have very, very different ideas about what's right and what's wrong. And I think what Chris doesn't realize is that many of these militia groups have their own agenda. There are many of them that are Nazi based, white supremacist based. They have their own agenda. Now they'll gladly join you in your fight, but their agenda, their ultimate agenda is not your agenda. It is not. They're really ay ay ay. I don't think they have the same ends in mind, Chris, that you do. And I don't think that's I mean, I think I can't think of a best case, Chris, in this situation. I was trying to think of the best case scenario. I can't think of a best case scenario because if a large enough group of people get together to cause alarm, then you're going to have a law enforcement response. I don't care if they're Trump supporters or not. There is still some rule of law in this country, and they will respond. Our, and the best case, the best case scenario is they do respond, and you realize this is not a plan that's going to work, and people walk away and are still living. The worst case scenario is you're going to try and shoot it out and kill a bunch of cops. And oh, good grief. I can't imagine that in any way turning out to be a good thing. And and I'll say this to you, even though you won't, I don't think you'll accept this, but this would be extremely advantageous for the current administration. Because if you were to cause enough trouble, I think the president could think about calling martial law and then really taking control. And I think I just want you to, I don't know how to have a conversation with you, Chris, when you have so many thoughts that are like you feel that this is the only way and that you're losing your country somehow, and this is the only way to retain it, to keep it. It is a startling, shocking, concerning thought process for many of us in this country, because that's not the way we do things. Or at least, okay, that's not the way we used to do things. I mean, I remember a time, Chris, and you look like you're old enough to remember a time when Congress, Democrats and Republicans, would get together and compromise and do what's right for everyone in this country. And you're absolutely correct. There are things that need to be fixed. Immigration control needs to be fixed. The Democratic Party needs to address this concept of true and actual communism that is seeping into the Democratic Party. They need to address that. Socialism, I'm not so much worried about that because we are filled with socialist programs. I mean, I get a Social Security check. That's kind of socialism. I'm not worried about that as much as I'm worried about the true communists. And I am slightly slightly concerned about this concept of Muslims getting into government and trying to impose theological law into our civil justice system. We don't need Sharia law. We certainly don't need that. And so, again, it's the same reason that even though I'm a Christian, I strongly believe in separation of church and state. I do not want a theocracy. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Render unto God what is God's. And Paul specifically talked about paying taxes and being respectful of authority because they're there to provide protection for society. Now, I know that many people today feel that the current administration, through ICE and other things, are abusing that. And I know you, Chris, probably believe that President Trump is getting rid of all of those, terrible murderers, rapists, drug dealers from other countries that have just run into our country with the open borders policy. And we do have some of those. But we also have people that have been here many, many years and are part of our society. And their crime, their true crime, might be an overstayed visa. Now, in a legal sense, an overstayed visa is a misdemeanor. These are not capital crimes people. These are people that came to the US to find a better life, found it, and wanted to stay. And the Christians are remembering what Jesus said about taking care of the widows and the orphans and the foreigners. And so I understand. Do we need immigration reform? Yes, most certainly. But that requires people to talk and come to an agreement. So that's my response to this video. Chris, I don't know if you'll ever see this video. And again, it was not meant to be any kind of a slam on you or what you believe or what you think. Many of your thoughts and your heartfelt feelings, especially on abortion, I can understand that as a Christian. You have some really strong conviction about that, and that's okay. But I, again, I don't think you can legislate morality onto other people. You are going to have unbelievers that are going to uh, do things that are contrary to God's law, and they'll be held accountable for it, Chris. They will be held accountable for it. We are not the judges, okay? So anyway, man, I guess I'm gonna spend a lot of time in prayer just for this country because we are at a point where I don't know that we can talk to each other anymore. And I think if we do, it just turns into yelling, screaming, pointing fingers, trying to be louder than the other person. And my view is right, your view is wrong. And I've got to the point where the only way I can respond is with violence. And I would ask you also, Chris, as a Christian, to think about that. The violent response is not something Jesus would have wanted. It's not. Anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I hope you have some good luck with your protesting about abortion. I will not wish you any kind of good luck on pulling together a group of people to take matters into your own hands. Because the worst case scenario, Chris, the very worst case scenario is it could start an entire civil war in this country. And I don't think anybody